Wisconsin can be so cold. The scales of justice can erode. If we accept lies big and bold. Oh, we forget we live on Avery Road. We live on Avery Road.
Hey, Scoops.
Should be easy to see. This could be you, could be me. We shouldn't sit by idly, accepting everything that we are told.
Especially when it's told to you by a mad Scotsman.
I live on Avery Road. I live on Avery Road. Avery Road.
All right, Scoobs. Thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. We understand she was out walking you today, so we know you need to get your exercise too, Scoobs. So let me switch my camera. Hello, everybody. I'm sure everybody's laughing right now. We'll give you guys a second while you guys laugh your butts off. Yeah, Scooby, no worries. We got you tomorrow. We got you locked in. Just, we got you. We're gonna be doing that tomorrow. No problem. So and everybody's eager to see it. I'll tell you what, there was 140 people at the end when you weren't there. I mean, I can't imagine what it's going to be like when you actually show up. Put it that way.
It's I gotta ask, Erekose, you're in California, Southern California. Did some sort of freak cold front come down? What's going on out there?
Nothing so freak or anything. Just the fact that it's particularly cold here, and for us here on the West Coast, when it's usually high 70s to mid 80s during the day, and then suddenly we get these temperatures that drop below 40 at night. Plus I like to hang out outside, when and stuff like that. So I don't, I like to bundle up just because if I'm going from inside to outside, but so yeah, I have my little beanie and my little neck warmer on today, just because it helps to keep a little warmer.
Whoa, low of 45. I thought you were.
Oh yeah, I know. You guys are like, oh, that's kids play. I know.
You were doing the bullshit, but high of 64. That's pretty rare.
It's well, in December, it's not uncommon for it to get down to that low. I mean, That's why I said it. I was speaking of a memory from previous years, but it turns out you looks like you fact checked it and it tended to be pretty much right on the mark. So, see, there's a thing called a heater. I know I have heaters, but you know, when I'm not going to be in a room for an extended amount of time, like I could turn the heater on right now, but there's also another reason why I'm wearing this today. You guys know I normally don't wear a beanie and a neck warmer in videos, so that should tip you off that something's up. Who's Erekose talking to? Oh, I'm talking to Travis. Travis is here, everybody. Sorry, Scoobs. That's Travis.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Say hi to Scoobs.
I did in the chat. Hi, Scoob. Welcome to the party.
The party, yes. If you guys ever follow Scooby on Twitter, you'll, oh my gosh, that party stuff, all of that. Scooby has like an entire Scooby speak kind of like dictionary. It's, you know, it's quite an amazing thing. And there's been times when Scooby's been storytelling on Twitter in Scooby speak, and I'll tell you what, it's one of the most hilarious things that you'll ever see. And because she knows the case well, it's actually informative at the same time. It's, you know, but it doesn't happen every day. Whenever she gets inspired, you know, she gets on Twitter and does stuff like that. But anyway. All right, so hickeys. Oh, they think I'm hiding hickeys. Ah, that's funny. Nope, that's not what it was. So we're here today to counter the arguments of the Mad Scotsman. Many of you heard him today havering in his latest video this morning. Havering, we'll call it a brief. You know, I'm gonna have to have Judge Wilfox review the briefs from the Mad Scotsman here, probably tomorrow. He's currently traveling from Australia to London, so we got to wait for Judge Wilfox to get situated. I'm gonna have him review the Havering Scotsman's last couple of briefs, and we're gonna have him determine what there, if anything, is like actually valid. Anything there, if there's anything among what he's saying that actually is valid, but I imagine a lot of it's going to get kicked out because, you know, Judge Wilfox is going to rule that anything about this civil suit is going to be thrown out because this case never left my jurisdiction. Basically, type of, that's going to be the, I think the way that Judge Wilfox is going to rule on that. So we're going to be left with just a few of Capaldi's arguments that might possibly still stand up. We'll have to see how Wilfox goes on that. So, but we got our own things to say here today to represent our side and to also counter some of the you know, haverings of the Mad Scotsman over there. Travis has a very interesting one. Actually, a couple very interesting ones. I'd like to go ahead and give the floor to Travis right now to talk about Captain Pugwash.
Oh, Captain Pugwash. Can you believe he brings that up? You know,
he does talk about Captain Pugwash. It's the only cartoon, folks, that he talks about, that he actually talks about fondly. So I'm serious, no lies.
You know, and he has it. He has these controlled, timed, scripted YouTube pre-recorded presentations. And did you notice how he slipped in the Pugwash at a totally inappropriate time? Talk about serious stuff, DNA, and then out of the blue, on the other channel, he brings up, oh, we have a British cartoon character. His name's Captain Pugwash. Well, he must think we're living in a bubble over here. You know, Captain Pugwash. Can you imagine what a name? Well, anyway, I asked him. I knew right away. I said, "Well, tell us what Captain Pugwash's first name is," because you'll recall his video today was all slamming you, Erekose, about bringing up the names of the crew and that names like Alfie and
Right.
Carlisle.
Right.
You can't make any logical assumption based on that. So what's he do? He throws in he throws in Captain Pugwash. And what's Captain Pugwash's first name? You notice he wouldn't answer it in the chat.
Yeah.
He started talking about he was tired and he's got to go and blah, 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 blah. Well, what do you know what his first name is? It's Horatio.
Horatio. There's that name again.
The quintessential first name for a British sea captain is Horatio.
Because of Horatio Nelson, folks. That's why. Very, very famous British naval captain.
Yeah, if you were going to have an American captain, you'd name him Davy.
Yeah, right. Like Davy Jones or Jones, right? Yeah.
Captain Farragut. Damn the fort torpedoes, full speed ahead. Those are your American U.S. Navy names, not Horatio.
Yes, absolutely.
You can survive in public school in England with a name like Horatio or Carlisle, or you'd get your ass kicked every day in the United States with a name like Horatio. You know it, so you can't name your kid Horatio.
Right.
You just would get an ass whooping every day on the way to school, way home from school, at school, and the principal would just say, we need to think of a nickname for this lad.
Yeah, so Scooby, what we're talking about is, I don't know if you've been watching some of the stuff on the channel here recently. We've been kind of going back and forth with Mr. Capaldi, arguing about Captain Crunch again. I don't know if you remember when we did this before, but anyway, Mr. Capaldi's been making some new arguments about the whole Captain Crunch thing. So we are now, it's all in just fun. This isn't serious business, but we're just offering our counter arguments. This all stems from the original argument of is Captain Crunch British, as I say, or is he American, as Paul says? And it's just a for fun argument, just so that you have some context of what's happening here. It's just something for fun. Anyways, sorry. So Captain Pugwash's name is Horatio. We've well established that is a name of a famous British naval commander, and anybody that, if you're naming a character that's a captain and you name it Horatio, you are certainly creating that character with a British, naval officer in mind, or naval commander in mind, certainly.
Well, the greatest navy on the planet. Going back to the Spanish Armada and Queen Elizabeth the First kicking ass in the Channel and chase them all the way back to Spain. And the British Navy is the heritage and the lineage of that.
Right. Makes sense that people want to create characters in its image, right?
Yeah, who wouldn't want to associate the greatest breakfast cereal of all time with the greatest Navy of all time?
Right.
If you were going to make an astronaut cereal, then of course it'd be NASA and it'd be a U.S. astronaut.
Or the Armstrong bits or something like that. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, there was a food when I was a kid. It was NASA. It came in a wrapper. Tang.
Tang, yeah.
What the astronauts drink. Well, of course, but when you go Navy, you want to associate yourself with the greatest Navy the world has ever known. The British, absolutely.
Which and that's absolutely another thing that brings to mind the fact that Capaldi makes the argument that because Captain Crunch was was come up with by American advertisers, that then, because of that fact alone, that makes him as a character exclusively American only. I disagree.
I've got something on this point right away. Can I take over the screen and show these folks something?
Sure.
That's just a lame argument. We got my screen up.
I'm trying to lock you in here, and there you go. You're locked in.
Okay. Hopefully everybody can hear this now. Um, Unlike our friend across the pond, who speaks through uh, press releases and so-called statements attributed to Captain Crunch, on our side, we actually put the man up and let him utter the words. So hopefully everybody can hear this, and I want you to hear how he refers to his crew.
Right treasure chest, Captain? Open it up, Alf, and we'll see if it's got everything the one in the back of my cereal's got. The one you can send for me, Hearties.
Do you hear that? Me Hearties.
Me Hardee's.
Looked it up. Hardy, a vigorously cheerful and sporty person, a form of address ascribed to sailors. The nation, informal. What's that say right there?
British. Me Hardee's.
I have dozens of examples. Now, we're not going to give away our entire case, but Mr. Capaldi, you better believe it's coming. And you wait for my Exhibit A. You're gonna fold under questioning, my friend. Okay, I'm done. You can take that back.
Yes. Oh, Karen, by the way, Karen, Mark H is on board. He just happens to be on his way from Australia to London at the moment. So I even have a clip. I can't get Mark H in for a comment right now, but I do have a statement or I have a sound clip from him. So I can play that for you now.
Do you think there's such a thing as an anti-havering drug? You know, we could package up and send to him? Yes, let me think about that. I might just have to take my journey via Bangkok and pick something up along the way for him.
Oh, love it, man. I love it. It's, oh my God. That's the best. It really is. Oh my gosh. So that is Judge Wilfox. He knows what's at stake here. He realizes he's gonna have to, look back into this and everything. I mean, that statement right there, folks, that was him weary with the fact that he has to go back into this again, because of the haverings of the Mad Scotsman over there at Scotland Yard. So hilarious though. I love it. That's why I love Mark. Judge Wilfox.
That's a classic.
Let's see. Karen's asking, does Mark support my claim that I don't know. Mark supports the fact that the birth certificate says that Captain Crunch is from England. As far as I know, that's his official stance. But you may end up going and lobbying him and possibly, bullying him into something else. So we'll see. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not saying you would bully anybody. I'm just kidding. So, anyways, no, but as far as I know, he's siding with the birth certificate at this point, which is right here. So let's go through a little bit of the evidence I have. So number one, there is the birth certificate. Okay, so that's the first thing we got, showing that Captain Crunch is born in Britain. By the way, folks, Mr. Capaldi, he is brandishing a supposed birth certificate. He e-filed a copy with me, right? It's not a hard copy like he sent me with the transcripts of the interrogation here, but he e-filed a copy with me, and it's pretty clear when you look at it that it's his own handwriting on it. So I think that's pretty much going to nullify the extra birth certificate at this point. So, and then there's the other concerning matter about this that I've brought up before, is all this stuff that he sent me, all these weird. It's like I say serial killer, but ha ha because of the pun, right? But it's like he sends me all these cutout things, like weird, like like I'm sitting here thinking, like, am I getting discovery from opposing counsel, or do I need to hire a bodyguard? I mean,
like a ransom letter.
Exactly, right? It's like creepy. So it's like, that had me wondering. So there's that, so it's like I'm very happy for the return of Judge Wilfox, and that he is going to return sanity to the crunch proceedings here. And that is very much welcome.
Before you get to that next exhibit,
yes,
Erekose, it's what happened to Elizabeth Swallows and Spitz? Betty Swallows and Spitz.
Right. He hasn't talked much about her.
Throwing around all these high-powered attorney names, and yet, I've been begging for 2 weeks. I've made phone calls, all kinds of inquiries. Nobody's heard of her at the Wisconsin court in Sheboygan, and won't return my calls. And you notice you don't hear much. He corrected me on the spelling. Quick to point out my spelling in one video, but we can't get her. I'm here, Betty. Anytime you're ready. You got my cell phone. You got my chat, my Google chat. You got my email. I'm here whenever you're ready, Betty.
Love it, love it, love it. So what else has the bad Scotsman been hearing about recently?
Can you show that handwriting stuff?
Oh, I was talking about heritage. Okay, so like I said, he claims that because it was created in America, or because a character is conceived in America, that makes that character American. Well, to that I offer the Michael Myers argument. Okay, yes, Michael Myers has dual citizenship. Not debating that, but Michael Myers clearly, to my mind, favors his Canadian citizenship. I mean, when I've seen him on like John Oliver, he was dressed as a Canadian Mountie. It's just whenever I see him in stuff where he's not in a movie or whatever, he's always he seems to always be pushing his Canadian heritage more so than his British heritage. Just something I noticed. I may be wrong. Maybe other people will disagree with me, but I would say he favors his Canadian heritage, even though he's a dual citizen. So am I, because he's Canadian, to believe that Austin Powers is not British but Canadian, and that Fat Bastard is not Scottish but Canadian because it was created by a Canadian character? That's my argument. That's my argument there is, if you're going to argue that because of where something is created in terms of a fictional character can only be of that, it doesn't make sense when you think about Austin Powers and Fat Bastard or any of the movies or any of the characters in those movies that he created, right? Because it's meant to be like a British secret agent. Just like Captain Crunch is supposed to be like a British naval captain, like Horatio Nelson. So,
well, to follow up, that's a great point. I think that's an extremely weak argument that the angry Scotsman's come up with, that because the creator is of a certain nationality, that therefore presupposes that the character is of that same nationality. And we know that's not true. Case in point, thought of it just as you were speaking. There, a character, perhaps you've heard of him, 007, created by an Englishman named Ian Fleming, who was first portrayed by a Scotsman, Sean Connery. Sean Connery, you notice his accent in all of his Bond films. He converts it from Scottish to British. You have an English super secret agent created by an Englishman who wrote it in Jamaica, by the way, but it was a protectorate of England at the time. But I digress. Anyway, you got played by a Scotsman. Well, 007 isn't Scottish. I mean, it just makes no sense.
You didn't happen to find a social security number on the captain, did you?
He predates the Social Security system.
Oh, he predates social security numbers there, JB. Sorry, buddy. Let's see. So because he's American, Captain Crunch does not have enough bars to be American or British. So there's some, now we got a third angle coming in from like Karen Gainey and the Aussies, where they now believe he's a descendant of Captain Cook, I guess, and he is actually Australian. So we're now going to have to probably contend.
No. Captain Cook, by that analogy, is Hawaiian.
Or I could put down those claims.
And
well,
Captain Crunch is by far a superior captain than Captain Cook. You know, Captain Cook didn't remember the first lesson of being an explorer. You know what the first lesson is? The first rule?
Which is it?
Don't piss off the natives.
Yeah. Don't end up in their pot.
So, Hawaii, they just weren't a good mix. But Captain Cook's explored, and we'll go through this during the trial. He is a world explorer. He's been to Borneo. He's been all over. I don't want to give up our whole case.
Either trial or we could do this hood style, Holmes. No, just kidding though. But seriously, yeah, trial.
I don't want to try our case in the media back and forth and
well, it's already there. Mr. Kratz Capaldi already made it that way.
I think we have to respond, but I want to show a picture. I don't know. People can see this. Can you put that up? This is Pugwash.
Peter Griffin? Hold on, let me there we go.
And he looks to be on a very, very similar ship of the Maine that the Guppy is. Looks like he's on about a 20 or 30 gunner, and he's got a slightly different uniform, but surprisingly similar.
Yeah. See, even they want to model their own fictional captains after their own naval tradition. So, to counter Miss Karen Gainey and her beliefs that Captain Crunch may be Australian, I'm just going to say, before my client was sequestered from me by the Mr. Capaldi over there at Scotland Yard, back before all that happened, he gave me something, a gift. Okay? It's a gift. It was a bottle of wine from his own family's vineyard. Okay? It's very, kind of like personally sentimental to me. But I think it's important to show everybody this because this is from his own family's vineyard. Here it is, folks. There you go. The vineyard that this came from is in Scotland. So that should remove all doubt at this point. So there you go. That's from Captain's own family vineyard. And so there you go. Make of it what you will.
Did you receive a document purported to be in the hand of Horatio Magellan Crunch?
Oh, yes, indeed. Forgot about that. On the back of some of the creepy, like serial killer ransom stuff, we get this supposed signed confession here. Oops. So, anyways, it says, "I, Captain Crunch, hereby declare that I am American citizen. I am an American citizen, Captain Crunch." And it's funny to me because Captain Crunch's handwriting is an awful lot like somebody else's we might know. What was the name of the expert you were going to bring in, Travis?
I wanted to let you know that I've retained the services of Mr. Howard Cheatham. He's one of the world's preeminent document examiners. Lay people call him handwriting analysts, but he is one of the world's foremost document examiners. And he's awaiting that.
Only the best.
Address. We'll get that. Do you have any exemplars of the handwriting of Mr. Capaldi?
I do have some, but
Okay.
I need to for for sensitivity reasons, I need to black some things out on it.
Okay. Be that as it may, Howard Cheatham is anxious to get started on the.
But he's seen some preliminary photographs, I think, right? So,
yes, but he needs the actual documents to get the final opinion.
Of course.
Which is what you would expect of a true expert.
Absolutely.
You know, you wouldn't want to examine bones through photographs, for example, and try and establish whether somebody's the victim of a murder or something like that. You know, you'd want to actually see the bones, wouldn't you? You want to see the documents. Yeah, he's very anxious, but I heard from him. He is ready to go.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have anything right now that I can show on camera, but trust me, it looks like his. It's very much like his handwriting. But we'd rather have the expert tell us anyway. So.
Yeah, and he'll sign a non-disclosure confidentiality agreement. It's standard course for him. He's been around the block. He knows what's up with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't want to be totally dismissive of Karen's claims, because we do need to, from a scientific perspective, legal perspective, we do need to consider all avenues. I'm trying to remember, when did Australia become an independent country? They're still
sometime after the Crunches started their own vineyard. So, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it was a British settlement in the 18th century, correct? British settlement.
Yeah, I think so.
When did they become independent? 1900?
Waiting for the Aussies to chime in and tell us. Karen, you still there? What year did Australia get its independence?
Well, in any event, I know they have their own Navy now. I don't think they had their own Navy until well after 1900. And so the fact that Captain Crunch may have landed there at one particular time, he was under the authority of the British Navy.
Yeah.
We know
the authority of the British Navy because his family is anyway. Never mind.
Yeah, and we know he wasn't French. I've heard that bandied about too.
His arch enemy is clearly French. That's French, clearly. Pierre Lafoot or Jean Lafoot.
Yeah, that smelly, barefoot, French, nasty. Lafoot, and he speaks with a French accent. He's nasty, and Captain Crunch does not abide Frenchmen. No way he's French.
Paul's asking about this.
Oh, well.
So, Mr. Capaldi, as I was explaining earlier, this is a bottle of wine given to me by my client, Captain Crunch. Okay, and as you can clearly see, his family's vineyard is Scottish. In Scotland, buddy. I know you're crying right now, buddy. I'm sorry, buddy. Really. I love you like a brother, but sorry. And also sorry, Karen, because this kind of knocks out the Australian thing, in my opinion. But anyway.
So is Paul on? Can you add him to the conversation?
Can we get him? Hey, Paul, you want to come in? You want to talk with us, Paul? I don't even care if this goes off the rails at this point. You know, I'm just going to post this link in chat. Here you go, Paul, if you want to join. How many times are you gonna have to show the bottle of wine before it like gets noticed? Hilarious.
Yeah, we are not afraid in the least of what Mr. Capaldi's answers might be. We want him in the chat. Come on in.
I don't know. Is he still there? He goes. Yes, why not? Come on. He's coming, I think. Click that link, Paul. Click it. I guess he's not going to be able to make it. I guess he's just going to wait another hour when I'm probably asleep, and then he'll make his little video and snipe at me while I'm sleeping. That's the way he likes to do it.
Yeah, he kind of has that hit and run.
Oh yeah, that's the way he likes to do it, man.
Yeah, what's the name of that porn king and the Big Lebowski that puts the Mickey and the dude's drink and you know?
Oh, I don't remember. Let's see, Paul, if he's still here, probably answered it.
Jackie Treehorn.
Oh, Treehorn. Okay.
Yeah, remember Jackie Treehorn?
Yeah.
You know, he kind of that hit and run kind of deal. Thank you, Renee. Thank you. Renee's hip.
Trying to get his attention, but I think he ran away.
Well, I wanted to wish him peace for a happy new year.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say that this is a bottle of wine from the Crunch Vineyards. Okay? Look, you see what that guy's playing, everybody? You see that? Let me get up close there. You see what he's playing? You see that? What that is? Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Playing you pipes.
Okay. So I hope that lays that to rest. Oh, Jackie Treehorn. Now he's here. Hey, Paul, you gonna click that link, buddy, or what? Mark H is not ruled on the Australian. Oh yeah, well we gotta wait for Will Fox, obviously, but you know, Will Fox may rule that way. You're just lucky. You just know that you're going to be able to lobby him because he's one of your own countrymen, and you're going to possibly be able to get him to go that way, right? So anyway, it doesn't matter. It gets more people involved. It makes it more fun. So we'll wait for Will Fox's ruling. It's Will Fox, Karen. By the way, you gotta say Will Fox.
Well, is he going to jump into chat?
Paul is too scared.
Oh, okay. Well, I still want to play him this little musical.
Okay, hold on.
I want to play him this little brief musical interlude. It's only like 3 or 4 seconds, and ask him his honest opinion. I think it's of a British origin. Can we do that for a second? Is he still on?
He's still there. He wants me to send him an invite by email.
Oh, okay. I'll wait for him while he's in. While you're doing that, I'll pull up. I think I've got that song queued. And since he teaches British,
all right, I sent it, Paul. He teaches music, yeah, barely. He spends 10% of the time teaching the kids music, the other 90% of the time havering to them about Captain Crunch and getting him to vote for it his way. So
I'm hoping he'll give us an honest answer. To me, it clearly sounds British, but
I sent it, Paul.
wait for him to get in, and I think he'll give us an honest answer. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or he'll just not answer the question.
Okay, I gotta tell him here. I sent. Yeah, by the way, everybody, please hit subscribe over here. We're trying to get this channel beefed up so I can potentially start posting, some strong MAM content over here as well. But trying to get the channel built up to a point where it's, ready for that. And by doing that is just getting views and getting some subscribers and getting those sort of things. That's what helps. So if you can, please, thank you. Let's see. I did send it, so hopefully he's going to show up here in a second. Let me try. Should have, I think. Capaldi. Hey, Capaldi, check your Hangout chat. Go to your Hangouts app, Paul, and go into the chat for you and I, and there's a link. There he is. Kind of. Paul?
Oh, there he is.
Sort of.
He's acting very lethargic.
He just muted himself.
Just muted his microphone. At first, I thought he was flipping me off.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hi. How you doing?
Good.
I was doing okay until I saw the most ugly thing I could possibly imagine on my TV screen, and it wasn't you, it was that bottle.
Yeah, right? Because it proves that Captain Crunch's relatives own a vineyard in Scotland. I can imagine it's very, very upsetting for you.
Right.
Can you hold it up one more time? Because
absolutely.
Oh, please don't.
that looks like fine.
Right here.
That looks like fine spode china. Look on the bottom and see if it says SPODE.
Nope, it says made in Italy, actually. Obviously, the Crunches get their bottles made in Italy. What do you want me to say?
And what's in it? Is it wine?
It's what it's apparently it's supposed to be, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't plan to drink it.
Is that a family heirloom, is it?
Oh, this is just going to be a talking piece, dude. Totally. Proof of Crunch's nationality.
Mr. Capaldi, do you have 10 or 15 seconds to listen to a little musical tune for us? And we'd like your opinion.
On you go.
Okay, let me see if I can do this now. Well, I didn't. I better go back and do screen share. Just make sure, because that's how we did it last time. Hang on.
Yeah, I recognize that one. It was called Silent Night.
No. Don't judge anything out of my mouth musically, because it's horrendous. And
he'll haver about anything out of your mouth. Trust me.
Hey, Travis, your singing could not possibly be as bad as the dude's.
Oh, trust me.
This is.
Okay. can you? I've done screen sharing.
Yep.
Can you lock that on, Erekose? And can you see that now?
Yeah.
Okay, I think. Okay, you should be able to hear this. At the end of the commercial, there's a brief 10 or 12 notes, and possibly a flute. I don't know what a soprano flute's called, maybe a piccolo. Those are the notes I want you to listen to. No, that's a whistle. Hang on.
Yep. That's a whistle.
Yeah.
Are we keeping you up past your bedtime, Mr. Capaldi?
No, I'm just...
I'm just really gonna love to get Mr. Capaldi in court. That's all I can say. Okay, wait a second. Thought I had it queued up.
Problems. But then they don't have a cereal named after them.
That right there. Were you able to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, I want your honest opinion. To me, that has a British derivation. It's modeled after a British tune.
Right.
Would you agree, or do you think I'm?
Yeah. Hornpipes. Yep. Hornpipes always finish with that that little bit of tune. Diddle 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 dum bum bum. That bum 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 is how hornpipes always finish. That goes back to the days of the obviously your pirates and your sea people, your sailors dancing about and finishing off with the little dance with the bum 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 on the tap 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 with the feet, sort of a way to finish. And I think it's called the Jackie Tar hornpipe, that piece of tune.
Oh,
the full tune is
right.
But I mean,
or at least it's a little bit like it,
because Popeye is American.
Well, it's similar actually. It doesn't sound exactly the same, but similar.
Well, I knew he would be honest, and if he answered the question, I knew he would give us an honest answer. But the outro for Captain Crunch is clearly of British origin. Just everybody make a mental note of that.
For the proceedings with Judge Wilfox?
Well,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that particular piece of tune probably even outdates, Christopher Columbus discovering America. It probably goes back even further than that. That tunes of those sort of origins, we just don't know how old they are.
Yeah, but when we're talking about modern day marketers, or advertisers creating a fictional character in a certain image, then we would classify that bit of tune as something that's indicative of British.
Yeah,
I would say that bit of tune is more indicative of being something nautical. It's a piece of tune that you immediately associate with sailors.
Maybe because the British Navy was the greatest navy in the world for so long that maybe a lot of things just get attributed to them, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a bit like the uniforms thing, isn't it? The British Navy is 460 odd years old. Sorry, not the British Navy, the Royal Navy.
Right.
Give it its right term, and of course, when it comes to the uniform, every other country that's developed a navy, you look at Australia, Canada, America. Just about every country in the world have based their uniform on the Royal Navy. It's the way people expect. It's the same with Captain Pugwash. Of course, he's a pirate, but he's exactly how people expect a pirate to look, isn't he? With the Jolly Roger hat.
And his name was what?
Well, apparently his name was Horatio as well, after a famous after a famous American sailor called Horatio Magellan Crunch, whose second name Magellan is actually.
There's the Avery.
Yeah.
I was wondering when the Avery comes.
You may have missed it, Paul, but we talked about, obviously they were all named after Horatio Nelson, one of the greatest of all British the Royal Navy commanders. But we commented that you can have a name like Alfie or Carlisle or Horatio in the public schools, which are private in the UK, but you'd get your ass beat every day if you had a name like Horatio or Carlisle or Alfie. So,
or like Lord Fauntleroy, or yeah.
Well, funny enough, the only person I can think of, famous person whose name is Carlisle, is actually Carlisle as the surname. Of course, that's Robert Carlisle. Now,
right.
Are we thinking Robert Carlisle in his Full Monty setup, or are we thinking Train Spotting Robert Carlisle? Because certainly as Begbie, I don't think
No.
kicked off anybody.
No, we need to stay on point here. Carlisle as a boy's first name, like Alfie as a boy's first name. There's Kitty Carlisle, very famous Broadway actress. No, we're talking first name Carlisle.
Yep. And it's an unusual spelling because it's not spelt the way that Carlisle, that the city in right on the Scottish borders. Carlisle is a very famous city. It's just about 60 miles south of here, but that's spelled Carlisle. And so, yes, I would agree that the Carlisle that you've got, Carlyle, that is more the Scottish spelling of the name. But of course, these sort of captains of ships back in the days, they were quite ruthless, weren't they? They would just round up people who were drunk, and then they'd arrive on the ship, and suddenly they'd be crew that were having to serve under a ruthless captain who couldn't care less, because there was no way they were going to get off, so they were going to have to work on this ship for them.
Yeah,
that's true.
They would pick up their crew from anywhere, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is 3/4 of his crew is European, at least, at the very least. Dave could be too, but I'm willing to concede that Dave may be American. But still, you got 3/4 of the crew that are coming from closer to Captain Crunch's jumping off point. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but dude, you've got just about everybody in Wisconsin sounds like they're Eastern European. True.
I suppose.
True.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never been to East. I never really listened to what he. I don't know. I don't know. I need to have to actually have a comparison or a frame of comparison.
I mean, we know that you do have genuine Scottish ancestry in your surname. I'm not going to repeat it, but we know perfectly well that you're an American, but you've got a very distinctly Scottish name. Your name would look perfectly acceptable. In fact, I'm going to tell everybody that his real
name would be
is actually Simon Fitzpatrick.
But names like Brunhilde, and never mind. We'll let Judge Wilfox deal with it.
It's a Viking name, Norman name. I mean that that supports our theory.
I mean,
Brunhilde, that's
Carlisle. I mean, Alfie. I mean, it's just, dude. I don't think I've ever met anybody in my life named Alfie, ever.
Dude. Until you mentioned it, I'd never ever heard of Captain Crunch. I mean that was what so stuck out to me, was the fact, the hell is he on about? I mean, you were bad enough with your sort of 5 versions of of Blackadder and no mention of Doctor Who at all. You know.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
suppose,
and and here you keep going back to that top 25 list, but that top 25 list wasn't really part of the crunch arguments. That was just something that got us arguing about crunch.
I've got to go. I've got to go OT off topic for 30 seconds. I got a telegram, a cable from my good friends at the Brook Laddie Distillery, which is one of Scotland's best scotch, by the way, if you haven't tried it. But they said they watched a replay with Mr. Capaldi, and Mr. Capaldi did such a great job of talking about, the Hebrides and, the Isle of Skye and this and that. But they said they wanted me to bring up, Mr. Capaldi, that you showed no love for Isla. And I got a lot of friends over in Isla pretty upset with you right now.
Well, that's where you're wrong, because if you notice the videos that I've done when I've had my bottles of whiskey on display, one of them has been the Lafroig, and Lafroig is an Islay whiskey.
Okay, I will get back to them on that. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. They just saw a lot of photos from the Isle of Skye, but no photos. I'm going to take you here, Erekose. We're going to take you there, but nothing about swinging by Isla.
Yeah. I mean, the trouble is, Scotland, yes, geographically, it's not that big a place, but it's not just a nip down to the supermarket. At least the Isle of Skye from here, you can get there in about 7 to 8 hours. And in doing so, you go through such a lot of scenery. To get to the island of Isla is a much longer expedition. It's only recently that we've had the Skye Bridge, so you can actually get over. You don't have to sort of get onto a ferry. Right. A lot of the other islands you have to take by ferry. And of course, in the middle of summer, you can imagine the queues are horrendous trying to get onto some of these islands.
Yeah,
and the ferries only run on certain days, and it's a logistical nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for the digression, fellas. Go back. I just wanted you to know, Mr. Capaldi, I pay attention to everything you say and do.
Well, Travis, it's nice to know that somebody does.
Hey, dude. Hey, we're here refuting the things that you've been saying and doing. So don't sound so hurt. Jesus.
Anyway, getting back to something that Mark Hodden had said. I mean, as he said earlier tonight, what on earth is Paul playing at? He's already won in court once.
And that was a good point.
And it's because I'm such a nice person, But if I'm going to be so nice, could you please explain why you had Blackadder 5 times?
Because it was Blackadder from 5 different points in history, dude.
Yeah, but it's the same person. It's the same guy. It's still Mr. Bean.
Well, I said my list could contain fictional characters, Paul. You need to go back and review it. It's all there. It's all explained. You're just deliberately forgetting parts of the explanation so that you have a bone to pick. I defer to Judge Wilfox.
No, we've uncovered
such a thing as an anti-havering drug. We could package up and send to him.
That's to send to you, pal.
Yes, let me think about that. I might just have to take my journey via Bangkok and pick something up along the way for him.
Do you know what the biggest laugh is? I don't think you have a clue where Bangkok is, do you, dude?
It would be Thailand.
Yeah, but where is that on a map of the world?
What if I just said
between Myanmar,
Southeast Asia,
formerly Burma, and Cambodia?
Yeah. Can I just can I just tell you something? When I went to Marrakesh in the summer, that's in Morocco. He asked me if when I'm in Morocco, if I was going to visit Phuket.
I didn't say
That
Phuket.
shows you.
I did not say Phuket.
Geographical skills.
I would have said Phuket.
Phuket.
But Phuket, whatever.
Yeah, Phuket. Yes. Yeah. Phuket is one of those other Southeast Asia islands as well.
I know Phuket. I know. I watched Lost. Did you watch Lost, the TV show?
Lost it. You are permanently lost.
Yes. So says the Havering Scotsman.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So do you have sat nav in your car?
No.
You don't?
I have it on my phone.
So you use your phone? Yeah. Okay. So you do have sat nav. That's why you've got an automatic, so you can concentrate on where you're going.
Now you're gonna take shots at me because I drive an automatic.
I'm gonna take shots at you for every little thing I possibly can.
All righty. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so
see the thing is, it's a little bit like this, basically, you know, just to explain to people a little bit of the history. You know, I remember when I first started doing videos, and we used to get people come on, the guilters, and some of the language and the stuff they would say, it was just so vile and offensive, you know. So really, this has been more a case of, you know, we can insult each other daily.
Yeah,
and we regularly do, and it's all about this debate, isn't it? You know, which I'm soon going to be winning for a second time.
Yeah, you know, on a serious note, Paul.
Yes.
Healthy, well-adjusted advocates can laugh at themselves.
Yeah.
And those that can't, usually there's some issue. But I think it's a good sign we can laugh at ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. Well, we'll have to await some of the rulings of Judge Will Fox, and restore some order, insanity to these proceedings.
Return some insanity. Yes. The only concerning thing about Judge Will Fox is that, you know, obviously it's Willis and Fox. You know, he sort of embodies the worst of American judges. I'm sure that his first name is Angela.
Angela Will Fox.
I'm sure.
Or it could be Angel. Angel's a dude's name. We could call him Angel Will Fox.
Yeah.
I like it. That's good thinking. See,
Super,
every once in a while, the Mad Scotsman has like these moments of lucidity. It's amazing. But that was a good one. That was one right there.
But as I say, he encompasses the worst bits of the Wisconsin sort of judges. You know, I mean, why should we, you know, sort of have somebody as bad as him being the judge? I mean, you completely stitched me up and pulled the wool out, you know, pulled the carpet from out under me a couple of days before the voting, when you said that, you know, we were going to have these oral arguments, and that I was going there on the basis that you were going to say that Captain Crunch is British, and all I had to do was say no, he's not, and then you two got together and said, right, You say that Crunch is British, but I have to then not only prove that he's not British, but then also prove that he's American, you know? So, you know, I didn't just have to prove beyond doubt. I had to prove beyond all doubt.
Well, that was because you felt it was obvious that he was American. So that's the way you went. I'm sure if you would have felt it was obvious that he was Italian or South African, you would have been saying that. But you felt your best case was for American, and that's why you ended up there. Let's be genuine. Let's be real about it, Mr. Opposing counsel there.
One thing that I do find interesting, and I must admit, because America is a huge country. You know, I mean, it's 50 states. I think I'm right in saying at least 11 states in America are actually bigger than the UK. You know, so you've got like this huge a continent. You know, I mean, it's like Europe is sort of more comparable with United States, isn't it? You know, what I find really interesting is I am beginning now to be able to pinpoint the where people come from by their accent. You know, I mean, nowadays, if I hear anybody talking with the slightest bit of a Charlie Barron's accent, I can immediately say, I know where you're from.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
That's the way it is in the UK. You except people who you know, there's a public school accent, but I mean, you know, people can. The best example is if you know, the people that live within hearing distance of the church in London, Cockney. I mean,
Bow Bells.
You know, people from the UK, you know, can typically geographically pinpoint somebody. I thought it was amazing how precise they could pinpoint somebody from their accent.
Yeah, I mean, even in the Scottish borders, we can tell a difference between people from Galashiels and people 20 miles down the road in Hoyk. They've got a completely different accent and vocabulary. And certainly when it comes to sort of parts of the UK, you know, you've got to remember that, you know, you've got a lot of people in a very small country, really. You know, I mean, America is a much bigger physically country, but you know, the accent of what I was going to say, the accent of Captain Crunch is clearly American, but I'm not too sure which part of American, other than the fact that, as I say, J. Wood Productions, they were keen to create this sort of almost like a Father Christmas type character for Captain Crunch.
You know why you don't know what part of America? Because the guy who did his voice is like, that dude did the weirdest voices ever. I would have trouble trying to place his voices as American as well. He just sounds right, like, yeah. But it's like the whole deal with him. It's like he just oscillates his, you know, tone or something, and it's weird. But anyway,
but it's an American accent. That there's an American accent to it. That well, let's put it this way. Even you would agree that there is no British accent there.
Perhaps
we played a clip where he's clearly using British terms and slang.
Me hearty. Clearly British.
That comes from Horatio's sort of right-hand man, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah, when Nelson was dying, that's apparently what he said, didn't he? He said, "Kiss me, Hardy." You know, because they were such good friends, you know, and it's been taken out of context to a certain extent, you know. But
yeah,
no, the thing is, you know, Crunch doesn't have any. Yes, you can have somebody using the vocabulary. I mean, you know, Erekose has watched enough of British humour to know some of the vocabulary. But you know, when Erekose says a typical British word, he does it with an American accent. That you know, I mean, let's put it this way: if Captain Crunch was actually born in Southampton, he would have a Southern England accent, which would be not far off from a London accent, but slightly more West Country.
Well, you know, I do want to point out one of the things will be.
Possibly not, because when the East India Trading Company rushed him off to Crunch Island, they may not you know, all the different slaves from all over the world, he may have gotten his muddled, you know, accent from there. Personally, I mean,
Well, the other thing we're going to be bringing up at the trial is the creator of Captain Crunch also created other cartoon characters, one of which is Dudley Do-Right. And Dudley Do-Right is what? He's RCMP, but he doesn't sound Canadian, and he's clearly a
Mountie, right?
Yeah, clearly a Mountie.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
We're just to let you know, we're going to argue that the characterization of the voice matters not. It's all of the surroundings. You got to take all of the facts together, put it all together, and I think people are reasonably going to conclude his outro tune, the ship he's on, his uniform, on and on and on. He's clearly British
or European.
Well, yeah, but we know he's not French. You know, you'll grant us that, right?
No. That has been one of the suggestions, that because of his Napoleonic style hat, that it could actually be French.
But we get a clear indication of a Frenchman in his archenemy, Jean Lafitte.
Yeah, well, that's French, dude. You know, there's an English Channel between France and Britain. It's not very big. It's not very wide. It's about 19 miles, but there is a little gap between us. You know.
Yeah. And don't you guys hate the French or something? That's the impression I get from watching Blackadder, anyway.
Yeah, but yes, absolutely. But what you've got to realise there is that the ALD alliance, as it's called, is between Scotland and France, and there's always been this ALD alliance. Up in Edinburgh, there's an area called Little France. It's where I think it was Mary Queen of Scots, because she spent so long in France, she actually brought a whole load of her sort of staff with her and housed them in this area of Edinburgh called Little France. So it's there's always been that alliance between Scotland and France, which at times worked to Scotland's advantage, in that, you know, they were trying to fight the English or keep the English out, right. You know, sort of their end of the country, and right. Then there was also arguments between England and France in general. You know, I mean, you know, the English, when you look back on them in history, they were real thugs, weren't they? You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, they built their British Empire, but I mean, you know,
they still are. They take my client hostage and make vicious lies.
Yeah, I'm also Italian, so I mean, I've got some of, you know, Roman heritage in me. You know, I mean, the Roman Empire, you know, that was something else, wasn't it? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen that, The Life of Brian?
Yes. Funny movie.
Yeah, when they say, and what have the Romans ever done for us?
Right? They just got us water that flows into our city every day. They built these roads.
Yeah, they built sanitation. Well, apart from the sanitation, what they do, they built the roads. Apart from that, they keep law and order. Well, apart from all these things, what have the Romans ever done?
Right.
But the point about the accent is I think is completely important, because if I was to dress up, if I was to come across to America, put my baseball cap on, turn it the wrong way around, you know, wear my sneakers with the what's the sneakers in the thrift shop song, dude?
Oh, the Velcros.
Aye. If I got my Velcro sneakers and my sweatpants, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and I could talk the talk, but as soon as I talk normally, you know, they're going to say, "You're not American, you're British." Recognize me straight away. Captain Crunch, you can dress him up as much as you like, but as soon as he opened his mouth, you knew he was American. We can all hear it.
I think we settled this. I don't know if you were listening at this time or not, but you know, there's this very famous author, Ian Fleming. an Englander who
wrote James Bond.
Settled in Jamaica to write this wonderful series of novels about a British secret agent
James Bond.
who was played initially on film by a Scotsman and Sean Anglicanized. That's not Anglicanized his accent. He cut the Scottish out and made it a British accent. But you have a British spy that was portrayed by a Scotsman. It doesn't mean James Bond isn't an Englishman.
I would have to disagree with you there. From somebody that lives in the UK, hearing Sean Connery in James Bond, you can tell straight away his Scottish accent. It does betray him. As much as people try not to do that, you can always tell. What I would say though is that I think it's one of these things that we can recognise with Captain Crunch straight away. Oh, that's an American accent. But from an American's point of view, they're saying that's a strange accent. Where does that come from? I can understand your confusion over the accents, because it must be confusing. Because as you say, Dawes Butler had this range of voices, but it's something we can recognise straight away. That is not a British accent.
Yeah, we say the accent maketh not the captain.
Well, yes.
I want to put up a quick picture with regard to the hat. Can you let me screen share for just
Go ahead, buddy.
Can you lock that on? I want
to.
Paul? Can you see that?
Yes, but it's not a tricorn, is it? It's not the tricorn that.
Well, it's a tricorn that's bent, and everybody knows who that is, right? That's Horatio Nelson.
Yeah.
And some people would say, "Oh, that's a Napoleonic hat." It's the way it's folded. That's not a Napoleonic hat. That is a Royal Navy hat. And then you see all the regalia, and it's cut off. But people look at that and they identify that as a Napoleonic hat. Napoleon was clearly trying to capture the gallantry and prestige of the Royal Navy when he fashioned. The funny thing about Napoleon is he had a complex, but that's another story. But you can take that back. That's all I wanted to show on that.
Yeah, you couldn't put that picture back up again, could you? That was
really good. Yeah, I can.
Erekose.
Yeah.
Could you show us on that picture? Is the picture back up?
Do I need to hit screen sharing again?
Yeah, I think so, because...
Yeah. Erekose, could you show us on that picture where Nelson has got his big, bushy moustache?
Oh. I didn't say everybody... I didn't say that every British naval commander has a bushy mustache. I merely said that a bushy mustache is a very British trait. That's what I said. I didn't say that every single commander throughout British history and Navy and Army has had one. I just said it's commonly known to be.
Yeah, well, sometimes you hit the bar or eat the bar, and sometimes the bar eats you.
Oh, yeah.
It's the cowboy. And he's got the biggest bushy moustache you can imagine. Now, for me, Nelson, his moustache seems to be growing out of his ears.
You may be right about that.
He does have some definite eyebrows going on.
Yeah. But they're not on the hat, are they? That's the other problem there, And if you really want him to look like Captain Crunch, why didn't you move his eyebrows up a bit?
Oh, that's funny. Oh my god. All right. Well, it looks like we've gotten down to about 20 viewers, so I think maybe
we've managed to kill them
getting tired and going to bed here. So it's been fun though.
Did anybody have any
Thanks
questions?
for showing up, Paul. Thanks, and Travis.
Well, we got Paul here. Let's see if anybody's got any questions, just for 2 minutes for Mr. Capaldi. We unlike Mr. Capaldi, who likes the hit and run approach. We like to give. We like to give Mr. Capaldi, and while we get a couple of questions, I'd like to ask Mr. Capaldi, what's happened to Betty Swallows?
It's not swallows, it's swallocks.
I really would like to meet her.
There's a Cayley band. Like, obviously, I play in a band, and there's a band, and that's their name is Betty Swallocks.
And Spitz?
Well, yes, if it's Betty. But it was you that instigated that, because you'd misheard me as saying Betty Swallows. And that's why
Karen says DNA grosses me out. What do you think I'm at? I guess I came into that late. Paul, what do you think about the logic of Karen takes the position that Captain Crunch is Australian because, like Captain Cook, who landed there and founded Australia, Captain Crunch visited Australia and therefore is Australian.
You mean like he took on Australian citizenship?
I may have her theory botched a little bit. Do you remember Erekose, how she was saying that? I
something along the line. He was a descendant of Captain Cook.
Oh yeah, and he was Australian, but I don't buy that he was Australian. He was a I believe Captain Cook actually was with the Royal Navy, but I believe his father was Scottish, and he died in Hawaii because he forgot the first rule of explorers, which was don't piss off the natives.
Yeah.
But do you think there's any merit that Captain Crunch might be Australian?
Perhaps Karen's argument can be summed up in this one.
Eunice, what does to haver mean?
To talk a lot of nonsense.
To talk a load of shit?
Yeah.
Look, talk a load of crap?
Yeah, like you do.
No, you mean not me. No, Erekose, like what Erekose says.
No, you.
No, not me.
Sorry, I had to do it.
First of all, right? If Captain Crunch is Australian, that could quite possibly explain why he's got this strange accent, which is clearly not British. It's clearly got a hint of American to it, but maybe that's where the accent comes from. Secondly, you have got a new clip of me and Eunice talking where I said to Eunice, "What do you think of Captain Crunch?" She goes, "Who? Captain Crunch." Well, this dude over there in America reckons that he's British, and she said that you are a complete and utter haverer. So you play the new clip. You get onto the new clip. No, he won't do that. He won't do that because that's. No, he ain't gonna do that. He won't do that.
Well, it's been fun, guys. I think we're pretty much running out of stuff to say, unless you got anything else there, Travis.
Well, Karen's got a question that might need a serious answer to. Karen asked, I'm wondering if there is a cream that can assist Mary J. Rottencrotch. Paul probably has the most experience of the three of us on that issue, so I'll defer to Paul on that. Do you know of a cream that might help Mary Jane Rottencrotch?
I'm not sure. I remember once I was asked a question, what do you give to the man that's got everything? Penicillin, and just hope for the best.
I would think playing in a band would give one a lot of experience with home remedies, let's say.
Yeah, I know. It's I've not really got much of an answer to that one, I'm afraid. Not having suffered myself, it's.
I'm sorry, Karen. You're gonna have to tell Mary Jane to
grin and bear it.
You do what a lot of people do. Seek medical advice on the internet.
Yeah, WebMD.
Either that, or probably the best thing to do is go and speak to a licensed professional. While we're at it, if you have a child and the police call you up and ask, do you mind if we get a statement from your son or daughter between third and fourth class period tomorrow, that you hopefully will answer, no, I don't mind at all. Happy to cooperate. What time should I be there? And what time, I need to let our attorney know when to be there.
Yep. Now, I've got a question for you, dude.
Oh, Karen says she contests that Captain Crunch was on the first fleet. All right.
Oh, she did mention that the other night, that she takes the position that the first fleet and Captain Cook being on the first fleet, but what was your question, Paul?
Well, it was just that a couple of days back, when the Belgian flag was on its second viewing, the dude was absolutely roasting, and now the temperature seems to have dropped significantly. That you've actually had to put a hoodie on.
Well, I think, truth be told, he's for a Christmas bonus. He got a lump of coal for his Christmas bonus, and the big power company in California,
working in the mines,
PG&E. I don't know if it still is, but I think he's trying to economize, and because all he got was a lump of coal.
Right. Okay.
All right then. Well, I say good night, everybody. I think we've gone through this extensively to the point where some people may be falling asleep in their computer chairs. So, anyways,
no, I was sorry, dude. I was just pointing out. I was just going to point out. I was just wondering if it was a full moon tonight, whether you were ready to go out on the prowl.
Ow!
Werewolves of London. I saw Lon Chaney walking with the Queen.
Doing the Werewolves of London.
Oh my God, he's a band. You're locked on me. Lock it on you, Erekose. No one wants to see me. They want to see you with the mask.
No, it wasn't locked. It's working.
Okay.
Hello, here I am. Hi. I don't know why it's locked down there.
What's that line about that? I'd like to meet his tailor.
Yeah.
He says, Watch out for him, or stay away from him. He'll rip
He'll
your
push
lungs
that.
out, Jim. Ha! I'd like
to meet his tailor.
Yeah.
A big dish of beef chow mein.
Yeah, I was down at a place called Eho Flicks. Saw a werewolf of London or something. He goes, and his hair was perfect.
and he drinks pina coladas at Trader Vic's.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, and Chinese food in Soho.
Right.
Yep.
Looking for a bowl of beef chow mein.
Yeah, Warren Zevon was taken from us way too soon. The guy was just a genius. Send lawyers, guns, and money, Dad. Get me out of this.
Right on. So
is it a full moon tonight?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it is, actually. Maybe it is.
I
haven't gone out and checked.
You will be going out to check, yes.
All right, after I'm done here.
Paul, it was a pleasure finally getting to talk to you face to face, as it were.
Cheers, yep, and you, Travis.
Paul still doesn't sound like he's even freaking awake yet. I love it.
Always look forward to you. Your humor makes my day.
Thank you.
He does keep us entertained, doesn't he? Well, thank you for being here, Paul. Thank you for being here, Travis.
Always.
Werewolves of London.
Denise says the full moon was the 23rd, so we're in the first quarter.
So yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was past the full moon. So
all
right. Well, it's been fun, guys. Look forward to havering again sometime. For those of you out there who haven't already, please hit subscribe. We'll see you.
Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Good night.
Say good night, Paul.
Good night. Good night, Paul.
Good night, Paul.
You may as well have said good night, Gracie. Anyways, see you later, everybody.